Evolve with Monette. It's so good to share some energy with you today. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath and I have a story to tell. I got a quick old little story to tell. Um, Pardon me in my finest pool attire, getting ready to head out for a day with the family. Some of my favorite in laws are down from upstate New York, and so we're going to go do poolside things. So I got my suit. Girl, yeah, I remember I was talking about my peeling. I don't know if you can even see it in this. I keep saying I'm posting pictures, but peeling. The peeling is real. But I have a story to tell before I head out to the pool. This is a story for empaths. This is a story about $800. Hey, hey, Gilly. Hey, everything's going well. I hope you're doing great, sir. So, this is a story about entitlement, boundaries, and toxic people. So, you know how Drake and everybody else says, no new friends, no friends in the industry. My brothers aren't akin to me. A fact. Well, I did a thing, y'all. And it wasn't a thing that I did, it was a thing that I was pursued to have done. Someone came into my life and they wanted to be a new friend. I'd known them for a couple of years, but they really full court pressed me and were like, we're going to be friends. This is it. We have a calling in our life. We have past lives together, all the stuff. Now, listen, if y'all know me, I am a whimsical Leo who enjoys a bit of flights of fancy and a flair of drama. And the approach was, it was impeccable. It was a chef's kiss. It was exactly after years of shutting down my heart to new people and being like, I'm going to be super safe and not be involved in anybody's mess or shenanigans and not have anybody kind of wreck shop in my life. I thought, finally, a breath of fresh air, someone who is spiritual, spiritually aligned. They had a situation like just spiritually aligned, studied theology, all of that stuff. I just thought, a kindred spirit. Well, empaths, here's the message. We will always be snapped. And you've heard me say that recently if you've been watching the other videos that I've posted as of late. Empaths will always, always, always be snacked by narcissists and toxic people. Do I think this person was a narcissist? No, I don't think that they were a full-blown narcissist. Do I think that they couldn't read the room and they had a fair bit of entitlement and toxicity? Oh, yes, they did. So, that being said, so here's what happens. This person, I'm working with them for a while. We're getting along fine, and then they really push a full court press. For those of you guys, it's a basketball term. So they really push their way into my life. They're like, you know what? We are meant to be friends. We're going to be friends. This friend thing is going to happen. I want to be your armor bearer. They tell me, which an armor bearer, if you guys are familiar, is a person that is like really close to the pastor, the priest, the whatever in the church, specifically in like black churches it's a thing, and they like do all the things for that person. And I was like, well, I don't really need that. I'm not in a church and I'm okay. But they were trying to just ingratiate. This is what that word is called, ingratiate themselves. And there's a TikTok thing or a YouTube short going around, and it talks about how you like the way to every sign's heart. There's a million of them. And so for Leo, it's usually flattery. And I am a Leo, a mere mortal, susceptible like anybody else. So it was just so grandiose and over the top. Not basic, hey, you look nice, you're cute. We all love that. We're all humans. But it was intense. Like, we've had past lives. Let me show you a picture of what we look like. You were a queen. I was a courtesan. Like, the whole thing, y'all. It was a whole situation. And I was just like, on the wings of happy limerence. Not love at all, but definitely like, oh, well, this might be a really cool friend. And this might be someone who, like, I could, kind of allow into my life. This could be a really interesting scenario. Da 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 da. So I'm, whatever. And I'm cautious and, I'm keeping check with Bessie. I'm doing all this stuff. Well, here's what happens. I mentioned to them, so for years I've known them in a acquaintance way, and then in the last few months they really press in like, I'm your new person, I have arrived. And I'm like, you might have arrived because I've been healing my heart after some friendship breaks, so maybe you are a new person because I have lovely solid people in my life. So they and so when that happens, so this is only in a couple months, they find out that I'm going to do Barbados, where I was just at to officiate the wedding, because they were traveling and they had invited me to come to London with them. And I was like, I can't, our trips are going to overlap. I'm going to be in Barbados while you're in London, so I will not be able to go do that. And so they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to Barbados. What are the coincidences? Now, we'd had amazing synchronicities and all that stuff, but let's be honest here, like most of us empaths, sometimes people have lots of time to study you. And I did not take that into account, that she had in fact studied me me and wanted to ingratiate herself because light attracts dark, and it doesn't mean that this person is evil. What it does mean is that she told me as much. You've got it. You are magic. You're amazing. You're this. You're that. And so she liked my energy prior to ever really being like, here, really, 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 let's be friends. Like, take my number. Let's really be friends. Let's really connect. Let's da 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 da. Right. So all of that happened. So she's like, "You're going to Barbados? That's so crazy." I was in Barbados a year ago and I left my shoes at the Airbnb. And I called the cabbie to get my shoes because I left them there. And I realized that I left them there. And so I asked him if he could hold on to them for me. Now, right away, I was like, hold on to them for you. It's been a year. You think he still has your shoes, right? I was like, this is insanity. He probably does not still have your shoes, but okay, that's fine. Let's live in this magical land of delusion. He has your shoes. Um, because I just thought, gosh, it's a hard time. It's been COVID. If he's a cabbie, he's working off of industry. He may have sold them. He could have given them to his wife, to his kids. He could have chopped them up, and they're $800 Gucci sneakers. Like, I don't know if he knew the value. I'm sure you didn't tell him that, but like it's amazing if he still has them. He's like truly a saint. That comes in handy later for the story. He's truly a saint if he still has these shoes. And so she was like, yeah. And that was a one off and she didn't mention it again. I didn't think anything about it. But then it came up again when I was on the island. Now I did not have phone reception. My bestie did. So she had stalked my bestie and she got in contact with her. I was like, don't forget to remind Monette to find that cabbie and get the shoes. Now I had spent time with this person in person and whatever, and I was just thinking like, I wonder if she thinks that I'm going to, you know, take care of this cabbie. So let me set healthy boundaries with this because I think a little bit of communication solves a lot of problems. So I said to her, it was after I'd officiated the wedding, so I'm back in my magical hotel room, and my bestie is there, and I said to her, hey, I got your message regarding the shoes. I'm happy to meet up with him tomorrow, and whatever the case may be. What I'm going to need you to do is either when we get back to the States or whatever, just cash at me what you want me to give him. Hi. Hi, Miss Laura. Hi, Miss Laura. So cash app whatever you want me to give him, right? And what I will do is I will give him the money for holding the shoes all this time, and then I'll also need you to cash app me for the shipping coverage and whatever the case may be. Now, what you should know about me and what you should know about all empaths is that we're generous beyond default. But when you start to get wiser, you grow and you realize that you cannot be that level of generous with people because they will take advantage of it. And even with this person, I had been generous beyond a fault. In fact, this person was a Virgo, and what they had said to me is, instead of this for my birthday, I would like for you to donate to this charity regarding getting kids school supplies and whatever. And so I was happy to do that, and I did. Like, she was like, I work in this district. This is what's going on. It's a really poor district, and instead of you getting me a birthday gift, could you do this for the kids and get school supplies? So I spent a money to do that, and other little things to bless that person. Stingy is not a thing that I am. If I have it, you have it. That's just kind of my motto. But she was assessing me. She made lots of comments about my life, my lifestyle, which is so funny to me because, you and I have had conversations here before, my Sweet Empath Collective, where I got it out of the dirt in the mud and I worked so hard and was treated badly and yada, yada, yada. Now, I didn't tell her my whole sob story, so she could just look at me and think, oh, it's magic. Well, no, we all work for what we have and we don't want anybody just using us. But I was very, very generous with her. So generous that I began to notice that there was a bit of entitlement starting to creep into her behavior and her energy exchanges with me. I started to notice that, like, if something would happen, she was like, well, I expected that there would be this at my house as a thank you, or what. I was like, excuse me? Like, what I do is what I do, and I do it because I'm a kind, gracious person, but it is not owed to you. I owe you nothing, and we are friends merely, and that's crazy. Now, she had hinted for her birthday that she wanted $800 Gucci sneakers. She is, to be polite, a label whore. Okay, yes. She had hinted for her birthday she wanted $800 Gucci sneakers, and she is a label whore. Like, and I'm not being ugly, y'all. I'm just gonna tell you the story because I need to paint the picture. I'm not talking about like a label whore, like I might have on a cute thing. I have a nice bag or two myself. I am not a person. I mean, they're not the crazy burgers that these nuts are doing. And people that are really rich don't spend money on that. They buy knockoffs and they keep their money. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Bougetto rich people do wild stuff like that, but it's okay to like nice things, whatever. But she's the label whore that would wear like the Gucci shirt. Thank you, Miss Laura. That's what I was. That's exactly, you just spoiler alerted it, okay? But she would wear like a Gucci, like a Balenciaga shirt with a Gucci hat, with Gucci pants, with Gucci shoes, with like a Supreme headband, like the most. Like no, and I could tell that it was a, sometimes we grow up in poverty and things of that nature. And so when we come into wealth of any kind, we spend a lot of time making sure that everybody else knows it. It's not, and I love my bling and stuff like that, but my bling, y'all, you can find these things on Amazon. Okay. So this is not like, it's like, let's be serious. Right. So anyway, it was a lot. And she was really like, she had hinted, she was like, yeah, for my birthday, like, so I had given her a birthday present beyond the charitable donation to her classroom events, and she opened it and the box was like a shoebox shape, which I didn't do on purpose. It just so happened that it was, what it really was multivitamins. I gave her other stuff too, but I gave her some multivitamins. And so but for her age group or whatever. And so it was really funny because she was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was like a funny like inside joke between us. She was like, I thought that these were going to be the $800 Gucci shoes. And y'all, I had to like rear back. I was like, I am not fucking you. You are just a friend. What is wrong with you that you would think that I wouldn't even get myself in my lifetime? I have not purchased myself $800 shoes. Have you lost your mind? The most money I've spent on things like that are pieces of furniture or things that warrant that, or vehicles, stuff like that, right? Obviously more than that, but you get what I'm saying. And I was like, I wouldn't buy that for my husband. I wouldn't buy it for a mouse. I wouldn't buy it on a house. I wouldn't buy it for my bestie. I wouldn't buy it for my lestie. I wouldn't buy it for my cresty. It would never happen. I wouldn't buy it for my family, my sister, my mister. Have you lost your mind? So it was so funny. But let's talk about the power of manifestation, because in my hand I am holding $800 Gucci shoes. Exactly. Expensive taste is for you to fund. And I will be shipping these off today so that she can have her shoes to her. I did not spend $800 on them. I did have to spend money though to retrieve them, because what she did when I held her accountable and was really polite, because I felt like I had been extraordinarily generous, way more than I'm even comfortable to going into here, because it's like a lot, so like there are other things that I did, and that's just the way that I am. If I care about you, I want to make sure you're good, and I could tell like that there was stuff going on and all the rest of it. So I had definitely met my quota of generosity and kindness with this woman, and she's asking me to go to another country to retrieve shoes for her. And I'm of a West Indian descent, as you guys know, and so I explained to her, do you understand that this is an impoverished country? This guy is probably taking a hit because of COVID. He hasn't been working in the way that he's wanted to, and if he is still feeding his family, that the most polite basic thing you could do, if none of those other things were a factor, is you're going to put money in his hand for holding your shoes for a year. You were irresponsible. And as I got to know this woman better, I noticed that there were irresponsibilities in many areas of her life. Laura says, I meant to say her expensive taste. Yes, yeah, exactly. There are many irresponsibilities. She was traveling to London, and there was passports lost, and there was this, and there was that, and there was planes missed, and all the other rest of it. She called me, and she was like, hey, can you cash at me money? I'm going to send you cash, because I didn't realize how expensive it was in London. Like, just it started to turn. Now I know Miss Laura's over there like, what? It started to turn. Miss Laura's like, never in a million years. And I did. She replenished the money. I gave her the money, all of that stuff. But I was like, this is not good. And this person feels like I am going to be taking care of her or something. And she was very capable, very well educated, very, many degrees, a doctorate, in fact, a lot of things. And I was just like, and it's interesting how people will mimic your energy and return it back to you, empath, to get access granted into your life. And I was, fortunately I have a fantastic support team. And so I wasn't in any hard up desperation for it. I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe this is a lesson. It was in so many ways a powerful lesson. So I say to her, the rules of what I need. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna need you to cash. I wasn't even like, and to me, we'd seen each other in person, so I was like, she could have put the money in my hand knowing that she wanted this anyway. But since she didn't, she can just cash at me or do whatever the case may be, and we're going to be all good. But instead, what she did was she got vitriolic. And when I say she got vitriolic, I had it on speaker. My bestie was in the room. She'd just come back. She just jumped in the pool after the wedding. They took a really great picture with all their beautiful gowns on. And so she was getting changed and all that stuff. And she was like, just quietly observing. Now, me and my bestie have been friends for many, many, many years. And the thing she said to me after this exchange that I'm about to tell you about is, I've never heard you like that. She was dead quiet. She's like, I've never heard you like that. Because what every empath needs to remember is that we have a shadow side. And people try us and they take our kindness for weakness. And that woman on that day of our Lord took my kindness for weakness. And I was in a predicament because the good Samaritan, the good soul in me, wanted to make sure that I facilitated getting it since I was in the country, since I could find the guy, since I could do the things. But I was so disgusted. Cheapness is such a turnoff to me. And I was so disgusted by her. And let me tell you why. Because what she said to me was, well, aren't you and your bestie going to take a tour around the island with him tomorrow? I said, we may, but we would not have done that were this not the scenario, meaning I was never going to seek this guy out or even know he existed if this was not the scenario that you kind of foisted upon me. And she was like, so that means that you're going to be giving him money, right? And I was like, yeah, for the tour that we pay for if we do a tour around the island. What does that have to do with the shoes that he held on to you for a full year? What does that have to do with anything? And she was like, so let me get this straight. Let me understand. You're trying to get money out of me. You want me to essentially pay you to get my shoes? I said, ma'am, please check the Cash App facts. Please check the receipts, sweetie. I've never needed a damn thing from you. Not one thing from you. In fact, I've been nothing but a blessing for you as you've ingratiated yourself quite forcefully, I might add, into my life. So the audacity of you to think that I'm trying to get like a finder's fee for these shoes that I could give one single fuck about. Not one, okay? I would never know these shoes existed. I don't care that they exist, and I don't care about you having them. And you clearly don't care about you having them, because if you did, it's been a calendar year, 365 of God's glorious days on this earth, that you couldn't figure out how to Cash App and or mail this guy money in order for him to send the shoes to you. So what I'm understanding is that you expected for me to just take care of it like you are in my family, like you're a dependent on my taxes. I'm so confused. And then you wanted me to cover the shipping as well. And I'm not petty spaghetti like that, but because of the levels of generosity and the way that I had extended myself to this woman, I was appalled. I was like, the toxicity. It's the toxicity for me, sis. It's the entitlement for me. It felt very familiar to some narcissistic people I dealt with. And again, I don't think this person is a narcissist, but I do think that they are fully disillusioned and have no self-awareness, and they overplayed their hand. She wanted access to me. She wanted access to my life. She wanted me to put her on. She wanted to become a reader all of a sudden. And that happens to me all the time. And it makes me absolutely, hold on. Miss Laura said something. She did not. Okay. I didn't see what Miss Laura said. Read a second. She wanted access to me. She started talking about it. She wanted to be involved in my business. She wanted to meet my clients, some of my bigger clients, okay? Because I have corporate clients and various things like that. She wanted access to all of that. And I was paying attention to her requests, her demands. She was starting to want to isolate. She was like, do you talk to your best friend all the time? And da-da-da-da. She was trying to pick apart things with me and my husband. It was a fascinating, you know why I got this experience? To come here and to talk to you guys about it, because so many of us get into these situations. Now, for me, it lasted about 2 months before I was like, oh, we're pulling the plug on this, and you have no access to me whatsoever. But it was a reminder that this is a thing that we will go through. It's just like if you conquer an addiction, you'll always battle it. So for whatever reason, narcissists and toxic people and warlocks and energy vampires and you name it are attracted. Lower vibrational entities are attracted to us. And it happens over and over again. And there were little warning signs, and I did pay attention to them, and I was taking notes. But what my angels did earlier that day is they said, she's going to behave badly today. I didn't know why. I hadn't even talked to her the whole time I was on the island. I didn't even have a phone. But there was a situation that happened in the wedding where I had to mediate and kind of diffuse a situation. And they said something similar will happen with this person. And when it happens, take the exit. In fighter pilots, there is an eject button so that if the plane's going down, they can literally eject themselves through the roof of the cockpit. And my angel showed me that vision, and they said, once she does something else again, lay it fully at her feet and eject yourself out of this, because you have been feeling creeped out for weeks. And I was starting to ascertain that we didn't have a real compatibility. She came into my life and started to want to dismantle things. She was making assessments about the people and the way that they loved me, and I realized that it was hate because it was reminiscent and familiar of other people, like old covert narcissists and other malignant narcissists that had hated on me. Why would someone hate on you like that just randomly, that had begged to be in your life, that had watched you and stalked you for about a year and a half to 2 years until you really let them into your life fully? Because they felt jealous of what you had. I'm not talking about my finances here, because clearly she's capable of, I don't know if she hustles somebody for these, who knows? Maybe she paid for them herself. Clearly she's capable of having finances. Clearly she was capable of having all the degrees and a prestigious job and the rest of it. But what was interesting is she didn't have someone that loved her the way that people love me. And she said as much. Oh my gosh, these people take such good care of you. It's too good a care. Do you not think you're doing this? Do you not think? She started to do what narcissists do, is they want you to start to take fault. Now here's the thing. I was like, homie, I know what you like because we're homies, right? I'm not some 25-year-old girl that you're going to groom. I am not some, immature person. I'm not one of your students. I am not stupid. Now, I will be sweet. And she said as much. Oh, when I first saw your picture all those years ago, I thought you were like a sweet, like cookie bacon, like lady and a mom and whatever, whatever. And she didn't realize that I was spicy and that I listened to rap and that whatever. She had her own misgivings about who I was, but that's okay. We had some combustible moments. And so I was assessing, this is what you need to do, empath, if you're in this situation, that we were not compatible. I mean, when I say combustible, I had interactions with her that I have not had with people in umpteen years, because I cut people out of my life that would cause that. And I thought, well, if she has all of this valuable information for me, God, then what's happening? God said, this is a test. This is a test of the emergency empath systems. Have you learned your lessons? Are you going to stay and try to fix somebody else who's utterly broken and who despises what you have and wishes they could have your life, wishes they could be like you, but they can't? Now you say, oh, Monette, is that conjecture? She wants to be like you. Let's talk about it. We were out to dinner one night, and a girl, one of the waitresses, was hovering around, and I could tell the waitress wanted a reading, and I told my friend that I told her, I'm not doing work tonight. I just worked all day with my clients, and sometimes I have to take time to decompress. So she knew, because she's intuitive and psychic in her own right, and that's why I was very much like open to the connection and the friendship and whatever, because I thought, oh, here's a kindred spirit. So she says to me, like, that girl's hovering around because she wants a reading, and da 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 da. And I told her, I said, I'm not working tonight, so I'm not involved. Now what's interesting is, anybody that knows me and travels with me knows that this happens all the time. People come up to me and I do readings kind of randomly at all times. So, but that night, for whatever reason, I had a boundary about it. But she really wanted to like prove that this was something that happened. So by the end of dinner, she was like, the girl keeps coming back over here because whatever, whatever. So then she calls her over and starts asking her a bunch of questions. Now the friend, clearly the Gucci friend, doesn't read the room. I could tell that the girl was getting annoyed. I could tell that she was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. You're asking me all these questions and this is not really any of your business. She wanted a reading because she made it clear, my friend, that we were readers when we sat down. And I was like, I don't know why you did that, because I'm like, I don't have anything for her, And so what happened was, my angels tapped me on the shoulder like a tag team wrestling match, and they said, step in and deal with this because she's making a mess. And so I gave the girl a real reading. Now here's what happens in that reading, and I didn't mean for it to happen, and I couldn't have paid for it to happen. I didn't have my cards. Yeah, she could definitely be a dark empath. That is really a great question, because she's not a narcissist, but she definitely is intuitive and wise and brilliant in her ways. So I'm never going to discredit anybody. I'm never a hater. That's never me. Give credit where credit is due. That's a fantastic, Miss Laura. I've been trying to figure out what she's been myself. I'm disconnected now, but I was like, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, what just happened? That's a great. I'm going to be researching that today. I love that. I'll make a video follow up. Thank you, Miss Laura. So she's annoying this girl. So my angels tag team me. They're like, step in, fix this, right? So I'm like, okay, got it, gotta fix it. So I start reading for the girl. What happens is, within a matter of a couple of minutes, the girl starts crying. She's agreeing with me. She's nodding her head. She's like, who are you? Who are you? She kind of squeezes my shoulder as the reading commences. It's only about 3 minutes of talking that I did. I told her what she needed to know about her little boyfriend that was basura, trash, get him out of here, next one coming in. We talked about her religious background, her family, and all the things. She was like, how could you know that? I don't know how I know these things. You guys know I tell you I'm a conduit. It downloads through me. I don't need cards to read. I'm a pure channel. Cards are nice. They're a great tool. But I read in real life. So that happened. And I'm looking at this person who is looking at me. And she is disgusted. And she is pissed off. Now I felt it and I knew it. But I was like, and she was like, see, that's what she was waiting for the whole time. And I was like, yeah. So when we got back to the place where her place where we were staying, she was like, she came into my room later that night. And she was really angry and she just kind of threw open the door. No boundaries. Hashtag entitled people don't have boundaries. And she's like, I guess you just had to trump me, huh? And I was like, and then she slams the door. And I'm like, what in the Kathy Bates misery is happening here? I was like, Trump you, ma'am. I told you I didn't want to read for this girl. I told you I just wanted to have dinner. I told you I wasn't interested in any of that. And I had to trump you? So it showed the fact that she'd made a lot of communications and conversations about, we both are gifted, but, my gift is good too, like yours. And I'm like, yeah, but we're gifted in different ways. I am not threatened by a psychic, because I surround myself with people that are mediums and psychics. Everyone is gifted. I learned something. My husband is not a reader like me, but what he is intuitive. He's fantastic with animals. Everyone has a gift. He's taught me so much that I would have never even known. So everyone has a gift, and I'm not like, my gift is no, that's not me. But that was her issue. That was her insecurity, and it showed in that moment when she was like, you just had to trump me. And I was like, ooh, Mufasa, we can't be friends. And this is a thing that a lot of us empaths and divine feminines go through, is we want to be close to people, but then they get close to us and they get jealous of our life. Even our own partners and spouses. Some of us have dealt with that. I certainly have cut off ex-spouses and partners before because they started to want to morph into my life. And I'm like, this wasn't your passion. You didn't give a damn about this. Why are you doing this, Miss Laura? Okay. Why are you now taking this on all of a sudden? You didn't even care about this at all. So I felt away, and I'm easily triggered. What happened was there were a lot of little things that she did that were reminders of things that were done before. And that is how we protect ourselves, empaths. Take stock and inventory of the past toxic behaviors and abuses that someone has given you. It doesn't mean that someone is always going to be triggering you, and that one day someone won't be a new friend that comes in that's good, or won't be a new lover that comes in that's good, or won't be a new spouse, you name it, co-worker, whatever your situation is. But it is to say, what she didn't know was she was setting off alarm bells. Oh, boom, there was a bell. Did you hear it in the background? Thank you, angels. That's confirmation. She was setting off alarm bells all the time with her behavior. And so let's go back to that hotel room in Sandals, Royal Barbados, where I'm giving her very clear, calm like this. Hey, I need you to do this and this. We'll take care of it. I'm going to meet up with him tomorrow and yada, da, da, da. But she was like, well, then aren't you taking a tour? Won't you be giving him money? Well, so you're trying to get money out of me? And then when she couldn't logically flip it, she says, you're trying to be in my business. I said, ma'am, your business, the business that you asked me to be in, to retrieve these shoes in a different country because your immature, irresponsible ass didn't have the forethought, the consideration, or the kindness to send this man money to get this done. This should have been taken care of. I wouldn't be in your business if you knew how to handle your business. I'm here handling your business, and still, and yet, I'm going to have to handle it fully because you acted like a donkey and acted like you weren't going to put money in this man's hand and then thought I was just going to do it. Do I like you this much? Do I know you this well? Have you lost your bloody mind? I was beside myself. The way that I dog cussed her without cussing, because that's not, while I do curse, I am able to excoriate you without a curse word. And I was like, you are such an entitled American to think that this man does not deserve to have you put a few pennies in his hand. So anyway, after it's done, I was like, don't call. I texted her. I was like, don't call me. Don't text me. You're blocked on everything. Well, no, but here's what happened. Because I was making good points. Here's where the toxicity takes us in the next level. She couldn't fight with me anymore. Every point I had made was like, it was Johnny Cochran. She couldn't fight. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. She couldn't acquit herself, so she hung up on me. And that was it. I was like, we're not gonna take it. I was like, girl, you want me to do you a favor, and this is how you are behaving without right. And this woman is like, 13 years older than me. So this is not like some 12-year-old, 20-year-old that just doesn't know better yet. This is a grown ass woman who is conducting herself like an immature child. I was just appalled by it. I'm usually attracted to and friends with people that are older than me. My husband's older than me. My bestie's older. That's just my favorite people are older than me because they usually have figured out their stuff. So this one had not figured it out yet. So that's okay. She hangs up. And remember what I told you, that my angels told me that I was going to have an opportunity to eject. And so that was the opportunity. So sometimes, guys, when you're dealing with a toxic person and you're like, how do I get out of this? I don't want to be mean, because our empath selves won't want to be mean sometimes, but we have to set boundaries. And at that moment, I set the firmest boundary. I was like, don't call me, don't text me, don't call me at any of the freelance places I work that you have alerts set to, because she told me that she has alerts set to. So when I'm on, she can see when I'm on. I don't want to know anything about you. I blocked her on Cash App. I blocked her. I blocked her in the skies. I blocked her in heaven. I blocked her in my heart. I blocked her everywhere. The only person she could reach out to was my bestie. So the next day, I'm like, bestie, we're gonna keep the lines of communication open. But as soon as I get these shoes, it's block, 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 block it. So I get in touch with the cab driver. He picks us up. We go do a tour of the island. But as soon as I get into the car, I'm like, get us to an ATM. Let me get you some money in your hand. So I put the money in his hand that he deserved, far more than she ever would have done. Also, here's something else I noticed. She had a lack of generosity of spirit. When we were out, I noticed that she wasn't tipping properly. I would go behind her and tip at times, because I was like, this is not right. Or she wouldn't even pay. I paid most of the time. Let's talk about that too. Maybe she felt like I had more. I don't know what it was, but I was just observing her behavior in our new friendship, right? I was like, this is really fascinating. And so I knew that she had that kind of disgusting way about her, but this took it from me. And with my people, meaning an island people, I was like, not today, Satan. He will not, I'm not going to go pick up these shoes and not put something in his hand. I'm not going to look crazy. You can look crazy. So when we get in the van, his van, I was like, you get us to an ATM. His name is Andrew. It's like Saint Andrew. He is literally a saint. I was like, I can't believe you still have these shoes. He's like, yeah, she's been texting me all day. As soon as you get in, point of contact, she wants to know, da 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 da. She was stalking me through him because now I had blocked her. And I was like, you could get eternally fucked forever. You tried it. Because I'd already given her one warning, because she'd done some weird gaslighty, mind gamey stuff previously. And I was like, I'm an earth angel. Like, treat me well. I think you're an earth angel. I didn't say she was an earth angel, but I said, I think you're a decent person. And I was like, but I'm not playing reindeer games. I don't have years and years to learn lessons with people anymore. If you try me, it's a wrap immediately now. So that was her second chance. I'm a three strikes kind of girl. I didn't even get to three with her, because my angel said, you don't need to. You know everything you need to know. Sometimes empath, divine feminine, you will know everything you need to know about a person. You don't have to spend years figuring it out and torturing yourselves and having circular arguments, because people that are toxic and entitled will take you in that, because they want to win you back so that they can abuse you more and use you more. My light and my energy raises the vibration, and they, yes, definitely trying to hoover. And so I know what I offer as a friend, not just financially, emotionally, energetically. I know that if I'm in your life, I'm going to help you ascend and work through stuff. Vice versa. It happens where people do the same for me. So in any case, we're with Andrew, and I said to Andrew, because what she was trying to say to me was, get out of my business. You're in my business. She was alluding to the fact that I may not have known the arrangement that she may have already made with Andrew, and that she would have already paid him, and that I was assuming. That's what she was alluding to before the hang up. Well, my angels and ancestors don't lie to me, so I was like, you're full of shit. So when I get in the van, I'm like, hey, Andrew, you don't even have to tell her that I gave you money, so that way she'll send you money. And I said, what was the game plan anyway? And he was like, oh man, she said that you were going to take care of me. In his West Indian, accent. Man, she said you were gonna take care of it. I was like, yeah. So me and my bestie looked at each other, because it's precisely when my bestie said to me, I've never heard you like that. And I've been friends with her for 8 years or something. And she was like, I've never heard you like that, because of me. And this woman was starting to pick that apart, like, oh, your bestie doesn't really know the real you. And I'm like, she knows the real me, but she's not provocative. She's not offensive, and she's not, an agent of chaos. And I told her that when I cussed her. I said, the Bible says the devil is the author of confusion, and you could have easily diffused this with clear communication or cooperation, but instead you choose to be confusing. So now you're the devil. Period, sis. I don't play games. I said it to her. I meant it. I don't retract it. It won't be a re-eaten statement. I meant what I said. I said what I said, as Nene Leakes would say. And so I was disgusted, but that was the night before. I'm just only imagining that I'm right. Now I knew I was right. Well, when I'm with Andrew the next day, the most lovely man who, like I said, did all these amazing things. We had a great time with him. I'm really grateful that it happened. Sometimes God will turn something like that into a really lovely day, and it turned out to be a lovely day. But he was like, no, she was going to take care of me. And I said, he said, she's told me that you were going to take care of me. So before she'd ever called me to be like, hey, don't forget to get my shoes, she'd already made arrangements that money would come out of my pocket to take care of him, though she had made no arrangements for the money to be in my pocket from her to take care of her very irresponsible year-long debacle. So I got to wrap up here because I got to go ahead to my family. In conclusion, here's what happens. I said to him, but wait a minute. It's been a year. How come you guys didn't like arrange to get the shoes mailed or whatever? He was like, I was going to, and then like, things were going on in COVID. And I said, you were going to? And he was like, yeah. She asked me if I would mail them. So exactly, SDF, the audacity. SDF, I hope you got a chance to watch the video. I so hope that you loved that, meaning I love sharing it, but I hope that I did you justice is what I really mean to say. But the audacity, it is the audacity for me. So essentially what he was saying was this. He was saying, yes, my husband's like giving me the wrap it up sign because our family's waiting. His family's waiting. No, our family. It's our family. If you're watching, I love y'all, family. But anyway, when we get into the truck, so we're in the van, and so he says to me, so he alludes to this. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. He's like, you know what? He's like, you know what? I just didn't get around to it. She wanted me to mail them, and so SCF. You don't even have to do a proper response right now, girl. I'm just glad you saw it. My heart's beaming all day to just know that you saw it, okay? You made me cry, girl. Same, all right, sister? All right, so, so here's the deal with this. Oh, I gotta go. My husband's pressuring me now. So, what I'm gonna tell you is this, is that she wanted, this entitled toxic person expected for Andrew, the beautiful cabbie, St. Andrew, from Barbados, to mail her shoes on his dime. The American dollar is 2-1 in Barbados, or it's 2-1. So what I ended up doing was I took out 200 Barbadian dollars, which would be 100 American dollars, and whatnot, in order to make it right for him, which I felt like was, the least that I could do, considering it's been a year and whatever. And of course, we have then paid him and tipped him for the tour that he did separately. But that was not my responsibility. I only did it because the empath in me still exist, right? Now, will I cuss you? Yes, but is there still a sweetheart in there? For sure. And she knew that I wouldn't. She was banking on it. But she was banking on him doing it for her. And that man wasn't coming out of his pocket to do that as well. He shouldn't. But she was trying to allude that I was in her business, when really, like any toxic person, narcissist, dark empath, whatever the moniker is for this person, they will try to spin something and make it your fault and whatever. And it was such a clear opening where she couldn't gaslight me at all. I was like, I know what's happening here, and you orchestrated this and you wanted an outcome. So that was the outcome. After it was done, she started texting my bestie and was like, a few days later she reached out. She was like, I just want to know how much it is that you gave and where I can send the Cash App regarding the shipping and whatever. And then she was really upset, and I sent back a thing. Poor bestie was in the middle of this, which I've never had happen in my adult life, but I didn't want to talk to her. When you know someone's toxic, just cut them off. I was like, I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm gonna tell you this one thing, and as soon as I get the verified address, because she had moved in the interim, because #irresponsibility. So I was like, as soon as I get the verified appropriate address to send this to, is cut off for my bestie. I don't want this shit on her phone. I was like, you're blocked from her too. Absolutely not. I'm very protective of the people I love. And so I was very clear, and I said back to her, I want nothing to do with you. It is payment enough. The fact that she would try to accuse me of extorting money from you, girl, you raggedy girl, the way that I wanted to dog cuss her, I was like but I kept it really like a lawyer letter. It was a missive. It was like, you accused me of extorting money from you. You flipped it and spun it. And she was like, I just want to talk. If we could have talked, this could have been worked out. Man, we were talking. You hung up on me. And the only reason that you know exactly what questions to ask is because I was talking to you like I had good damn common sense. I was calm, I was kind, and I was purposeful. I gave you clear instructions and expectations and boundaries, and you hated it, so you kicked and had a fit, and you lost on earth angel access. That's between you and Jesus. You were short-sighted, and you wanted your shoes. Your shoes you will get. I said you helped recalibrate me, appreciate you, and my purpose in your life was to get your shoes. You can appreciate me from a distance, never up close, never in person, never again. No, this person's not 20, they are 54, okay? That's why I was like, what in the name of immaturity is going on here? I was so disgusted by this behavior that I was like, this is a whole lesson for my collective. Toxic people will try you. It doesn't matter how healed you are. I'm healed, y'all. I was healed. I was delivered. It doesn't matter how healed or how delivered you are. People will still come into your life and be like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And she saw a lick, she thought, but I'm not salty, bitch. You can be salty. It'll never be me. I know who I am. I know people love me, and you wish. And it broke my heart in some ways because I was like, oh, maybe I could be a person that loves her. But empaths, we don't fix broken birds anymore. I need whole people in my life that are doing their own bloody work, that are reading their own books, that are creating time for meditation, that are praying, that are clearing spaces, that are lighting their own stage, that are paying attention to nature outside. If you're not a client like that, if you're not a person like that, if you're not a friend like that, I don't want it, because I don't have time to spend time with people that want me to lift them up out of the trenches of their bullshit all the time when they are not willing to put in the work themselves. I have a gold star client on here right now on this chat live, Miss Laura. Miss Laura became one of my gold star clients because she was taking notes. She was journaling. She was paying attention to her dreams. She was researching the Akashic records. She would come to me with information. She had card recommendations for me. She lifted me up as her practitioner. Did she pay me for my services? Did we have a great friendship even? But did she do her own work? Sorry, Miss Laura. You know, I know you don't let people tell your business, but I got to tell that. I got to tell people that there is a way to be. Even as a client, there's a way to be, because she did her own work. She did her own work. It was never codependency on me. It was, how can you help me see this clearly? Well, this is what I think. Well, this is what I felt. This is what I intuited. This is what I dreamed. All right. I got like 2 more minutes and my husband's literally gonna freak out. And I mean that, Laura. I mean that. I want the whole world to know that someday. I so appreciate the work that you did, because you were one of the first examples to me of what a good client is like. I mean, everybody comes with problems, y'all. I'm not judging you for your problems. I really am not. But what I'm telling you is that there's a way that we elevate. I don't want anybody calling me codependently and asking me to make every decision for them. No, I am a strategist. I'll help you figure some stuff out in this Lorican account. I'll help you sift through the rubble of it. But what I'm not going to do is be the person that is your patsy, your scapegoat, and you're not going to try to take my self-esteem away because you wish that you had people in your life like I do. I have people in my life like that because I've cultivated it and because it's what I give. This person is entitled. She gives nothing. She wanted someone in an impoverished country to send her shoes to her on their dime. She wanted me, a perfect stranger, essentially an acquaintance that she made into a friend within 3 months. After years of acquaintanceship, she wanted me to pay my money to get him for her, and I did. And I told her in that missive that my bestie sent, it is a small price to pay for my freedom to be free of gaslighting, mind games, toxicity, and further verbal abuse. You don't get to talk to me that way. You don't get to hang up on me. And you don't get to have any expectations about a goddamn thing that I do for you. You've lost your mind. And she did. She lost her mind. She lost her access. And she lost an opportunity that will mask off. Fucking mask off. Amen. She lost an opportunity to have me be in her life and raise her vibration and be a help to her grandson and be a help to her in so many ways. But that was a choice she made because she was short-sighted, immature, and materialistic. So she will have her materials as she wanted. And that is my amazing story about entitlement, boundaries, and $800 Gucci shoes. The round and fullest of circles, which reminds me of Meghan Markle, is even a narcissist, a dark empath, or a toxic person has the power for manifestation. This woman wanted me to get her $800 shoes, and ostensibly, in some way, I will be in fact sending her $800 Gucci shoes. Even dark people can manifest. Don't let them snack and manifest you. She will not get another drop of my energy. She will be a cautionary tale and a story. I actually had some good times with her. You can have good times with your narcissist, you're a toxic person, you're a dark empath, but they are still there trying to unravel. And what I watched her try to do was unravel the very foundation. She wanted to talk about my time frames and when I work with my clients and this and that, and she wanted access. Be careful with people that ingratiate themselves. I didn't give her any. So it was played well, but I've been around the rodeo. But that was it for me. I was like, it's the entitlement, sis. Hit the eject button and get yourself out of a situation. You don't need years to fix anybody, guys. All right? We're past that. If you're over 40, you're past it, okay? If you figured out someone's a narcissist, you're past it. Take your toys, take your things, and go. And if they want their things, let them have their things. But the thing they won't get from you is that precious empath energy. Lesson learned. I am so grateful. It was a powerful lesson. And it was a necessary lesson. A reminder. Is it no new friends forever? No, I'm not that bitter and jaded. because I trust my ancestors and my angels. That's another thing that happens as I finish this up. When you get to a level of ascension where you've learned boundaries and you've pushed people back and you've told people, friends, family, and beyond no, what will happen is your angels and ancestors won't let anybody close either. When I tell you my angels gave me dreams, the first dream that I had, and this is symbolic, is she wasn't anything. I was under sea diving and I saw a sea urchin and a sea anemone. Coming, babe, I'm coming. I saw a sea urchin and a sea anemone, and the sea anemone had black spiky hair, and it was very reminiscent of her hairstyle. She had wicks in her hair, if anybody knows what wicks are. They're very colorful, and there was a lot of just like stuff, and there was a lot of symbology about being off the hook and signs I would pass. We all get different signs. My signs won't be yours, but the point was a sea urchin. It was a huge one with like with quills that were probably like 2 feet wide, and it was just floating. I didn't touch it, but I knew I wasn't supposed to get any closer. And it was a dream I had a few weeks before. You always get signs and symbols to stay away from somebody if they are not good for you. Was I supposed to be close enough to learn some lessons, to have a reminder, maybe to teach this to someone that stumbles across this someday that's like, oh, I had a similar situation? It's the entitlement for me. And even still, my sweet empath energy will send the shoes. I will. But it was a price I pay to teach this lesson and to never forget the treatment of someone who was so entitled and thought so. The audacity. All right, guys, my husband is gonna have a meltdown. I did peel her mask off. I love you guys so much. I will be back. Okay. All right. I love you. I think I read all the comments. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to block dark empaths, toxic people, evil demons, demonic energies, lower vibrations, and narcissists. We're not doing it. And guess what? You have my permission, if no one's ever given it to you, to cuss them the fuck out. Because just because we're sweet and baked cookies, just because we're pretty, or just because we're nice, or just because we're handsome, or just because we're loving, or just because we held their hair back or did whatever, doesn't mean that we have to live in just that space of generosity. Be generous with your words as you put your boundaries down and tell them to never try you again in their goddamn life. And mean it. And if you can't mean it, borrow some of my energy because I mean it for you. Love you guys. Come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together. These guys are already on there.